So it seems like we might have got the sad ending. It seems like we might have got the entire sad ending to this whole Kennedy Carter thing, because I think she'll be fine on the Sky, but these antics, eventually she's going to get suspended, and this is looking like it's Draymond type scenario. If you guys agree with this and think that at this stage maybe a 1-game suspension is deserved, subscribe. We are trying to hit 27.75k by the start of Fever Game, which is about 70 subscribers away in 7 hours. So it's going to be really, really close. But I do want to say, as far as danger plays, this was the most dangerous play of the game. And I think that Alyssa Thomas should have been suspended for the chokeslam. But this was the most dangerous play of the entire game, by the way. Alyssa Thomas shoving Angel Reese into a Kennedy Carter on the ground. So she did actually get hit with... That could have blown at her knee. Like, that really easily could have blown out Kennedy Carter's knee. And that's on Alyssa Thomas. Like, that is the most dangerous play. And I don't think that's suspension worthy, but how that was only called a common foul is beyond me by the refs. Like, that is a bad one. But Kennedy Carter, there were about 4 strikes. And I will go on the least egregious to most egregious. And first of all, this is not nearly suspension worthy, but if she wasn't on one flagrant foul, in Europe, this is a flagrant foul or an unsportsmanlike foul. I don't know what way the rules are with flagrant in WNBA, but making no play on the ball and just wrapping someone up for a layup. There's no malice in this. This is a basketball play. This is clearly not for suspension, but this play right here, just wrapping up Alyssa Thomas at the end of the game, that should... I don't know exactly the rules, so I'm not going to speak on it, but I know from someone who has been who is a referee or refereed for years, who was played and coached at decent-ish level over in Europe and knows the way the rules are here. That's unsportsmanlike anywhere else. And then there was this. And you see, I don't know what there is in this one here, the Dejanay Carrington one. So this play right here, I just want to get into this. But it's more so what Carrington flopped on isn't really a foul, but before it, Kennedy Carter, who's already on a flagrant, goes and gets... Like, Carrington flops afterwards. So what ends up happening is here. Where is it? I think I need to see this whole thing. So Carter hits Carrington and leans into Carter and flops. So, like, it's... At the start of this play, you're playing with fire. That hit there. That there is playing with fire on a flagrant. I do think it's a common foul because of her flopping the second time. I think there's a lot less contact on it the second time. But had Carrington flopped the first time on that, and that's reviewed, that's her gone from the game. Like, this is not, I don't think the flop was there flagrant. With the way referees are, you can do whatever the hell you want if you don't fall over. Refs won't even look at it. But again, this is, playing with fire. You're like, if you are a coach and you're watching someone do this in a third quarter of a game while on a flagrant, you're like, what the hell is going on? Like, she's trying to get herself thrown out of this game. And then there was obviously her first possession of the game, Breanna Mabrey, Kennedy Carter going and smacking her as hard as she can on the head. Nowhere near the ball. The ball isn't even on upwards motion. She just goes and clocks her in the top of the head. Like, this is very clearly... Like, this is... I think flagrant 1 is the right call, but this is a flagrant 1.5. I'll call this a flagrant 1.5. If it was called a flagrant 2, it wouldn't have been a wrong call, but I also don't mind it being called a flagrant 1. But this is, again, we're getting into Draymond Green territory. Obviously, people talking about a suspension here, but we're getting into Draymond Green territory where it's like, when it happens so often with a player, you have to start thinking, is this intentional? But then, as soon as the game finished, by the way, this would be a suspension in the NBA, or at least a fine. Retweeting, there needs to be a proper investigation into Chicago Sky officiating. This is absolutely ridiculous, and it's obvious at this point how disgusting. And tagging the commissioner and the WNBA. And retweeting that. Like, that is... If an NBA player does that, it's a fine. If an NBA player does this, it's a 100 grand fine. If an NBA player says anything about a ref, it's a 50 grand fine. Obviously, you can't fine people to the same extent, but every single one of these happened in one day. Like, this is all one game. where it's like some of them are basketball plays, but teetering on flagrant. I'll say the wrap up maybe like a flagrant 0.3. If it was called flagrant, probably not the right call. The swing, flagrant 0.5. If it's called a flagrant, you can't argue, but not being called, you can't argue. And then there's a flagrant 1.5. And then going out on social media, tweeting about retweeting stuff about the refs, and responding to tweets giving out about the refs saying they were rigged against Chicago, when in reality, she probably should have been chucked from the game herself. That's all I will say is, like, I do also not necessarily agree with this post. I probably should have got rid of this tweet, because there's no point attacking personally, because at the end of the day, it is all basketball, and we gotta have, as much as possible, make this basketball conversation. Sometimes it's not going to be a basketball conversation, but she's gotten into at this stage it has to be Draymond Green territory. Like, there was obviously some stuff before this season with Chennedy Carter. There's some stuff now with Chennedy Carter. You've just got to, as a league, just put your foot down and be like, no, we're gonna do it on the Draymond Green. We're gonna make the Draymond Green exception of, like, continual, like she has, was it like 3 to 4 techs, 3 to 4 on flagrants as well. Like, I'm pretty sure she's teetering on a suspension anyway. So maybe that's what the WNBA are thinking. I don't know. Do they have a point system? I don't know if they have a point system, because they might have. It might be one where flagrants and techs are different types of things. I know, again, in the league that I coach in Europe, flagrants and techs are the same. They're worth a flagrant 1 and a tech are both worth 1 point, and a flagrant 2 is worth 2 points. And one of our players this season got ejected, and the refs decided to give him 2 flagrant 1s and a flagrant 2 for the same possession. Nearly got suspended off one play. But yeah, that was that is it with Chennedy Carter. And I don't know what's going on. Like, we saw it from even before she came back, her going mad about Unrivaled and retweet or liking tweets about how she's the number 1 option on this team, and she hasn't been as good since she come back. She was sick. She was in hospital. I don't know what's going on, but if you're Chennedy Carter's too talented to not be in the league. But I think if she goes, it could be very, 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 very tough to get back in the league, especially because the one coach who's going to praise you cheap shotting people is your own coach. I'm not sure there's any other coach in the WNBA that will be there smiling and happy with you after they watched you smack one of her former players, one of your former teammates in the face. So anyway, yeah, that's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.